life skills, but not just life skills. We're talking about life skills in the context of community development. We're assuming that actually we are part of a community. We're assuming that it's not, I don't want to use the word fair, but it's not just nice that some kids don't have fathers. And we are assuming that that is disruptive for our community. So what do we mean by community? Well, it's a holistic place where we make sense of our lives. It's a process as well. It's a social process. It's also about empowerment. In other words, it's about can we gain control as individuals and as a community so we can actually always have more sense of well-being, a better sense of well-being. And it's the empowerment, which is about gaining control, which links to the life skills and the behavior change. So at the individual level, each one of us wants a little bit more control in our lives. Each one of us wants a little bit, to control the things that really matter for you. And I think that is what then links to life skills. The World Health Organization defines life skills with some keywords which are very interesting for me. They use the word adaptive there, adaptability. Positive behavior, which is important for us in facing demanding and challenging situations across life domains, not just in sport, but at school, at work, and in the neighborhood. So we need these skills in those domains. And what we're supposed to be asking today is, what is the nature of these skills? What is the nature of these skills? Well, some aspect of these skills are behavioral. How do we communicate with other people? Cognitive, our thinking processes, the way we make decisions, the way we choose things, select things different from other things, how we engage with others, and our intra aspects within ourselves, how we think of ourselves. Are we assertive? How we think of ourselves, are we confident? Those things within us frame the life skills. But whatever we do in terms of our life skills, we need to think of life skills as transferable from one domain to the next. And that's very important, because if this fella had a hot temper on the pitch, and then he has a hot temper outside the pitch, we don't know what the cause and effect is, but we know there's a correlation. There is a relationship. Balotelli, I had this discussion with my colleague Kev. I work with Kev at the university. Balotelli, he's got, definitely, every goal he scores, he's trying to send a message. I don't know if it's on another planet, are they picking that message? I don't know, but there's a message going out. Now you take the journey, adopted from Ghana, Italy, all the racism. What's going on in his life? He's burning the house here and there. What's going on here? But we don't know what's causing what, but we know there's a relationship with something else happening outside the field of play and coming. And is the coach capable to handle that? I don't know. Have we trained the coaches to handle that? You tell me. So this, are we just gonna leave it alone? Maybe. Is it gonna be more productive if it gets stable? Hopefully. If that's what we want, then we have to change a few things. So then, these life skills, like I said, they need to be applied across domains, and they are good in those areas. I want an athlete that has got a stable mental health. I want an athlete that, is not with issues of suicide. I don't want my athletes contemplating this when we're about to go into a championship. But life throws punches. These are the kind of punches that life throws at us. And it doesn't help us. I mean, no matter how we ignore it, these punches are still becoming, because we don't erect tents at the football pitch. We go home, and then we go to the school, and we go to our working places. And all these things are transferred and carried around in those contexts. So let's have a sort of like a popcorn session. What are some of the skills that you think, we know them out, the skills, the basketball skills, the passing, the turning, how to create space, how to utilize it. We love that stuff. the other stuff now, the life skills. What are some of the life skills that we should be?
Communication.
Communication. Thank you. Communication. As a skill, communication is very interesting actually. One thing about skills is that some people are predisposed to have abilities towards certain skills than others. Not just sports skills, even life skills. Some people who have those skills readily, they'll have talent in communication. And normally, across cultural contexts, girls and women seem to have a better, more complex tool bag for communication. I've tried that experiment. My son, I introduced him to when he was about 5. He meets another boy. This is how the communication goes. They've never met. And the other boy goes, my little girl comes into a place, go around each other like that. Those are the girls using what's in their tool bag, exploring the environment. When their relationship begins to cement, the girl's relationship stays longer. The boys, give them 10 minutes. I don't like you, I don't like that. Then what happens? So, what is this skill? And why should we be getting the boys to learn something from the girls? What can the girls learn from the boys? So these skills are quite similar to what happens in the sport context as well. What other skills do you think of when you think of life skills?
Listening.
Listening.
Tolerance.
Tolerance.
Sport, the volatility, you know, the win and lose.
Yeah.
That's how you deal with it.
How coping, how to deal with situations.
Resilience.
Resilience. Keep going when everybody is facing down. Keep your head up.
Respect.
Is that that?
Respect.
Respect, yeah.
Empathy.
Empathy, big one. Stepping into other people's shoes. We're going to talk very quickly about that one.
Decision making.
Decision making, plenty of them. Plenty of them. And thank you very much. So some of them will be there. And you've obviously mentioned some of them. They appear twice. Goal setting, coping strategies, critical thinking. These skills, some of them are just useful in domains outside sport. Others are useful in sport as well. That's yours. Underpinning most of those skills is the other. Our challenge with the other person. If we were living on this island by ourselves, I think it would have been easier, especially if we had all the supplies. But as long as we have the other, we need to situate ourselves with the other. And that's why empathy comes in. The ability to step into other people's shoes. You know, it shocks me when we talk about gender inequality, when we talk about disability, race, and how rarely I hear the word empathy. You know, so what ends up happening is John Terry has a lot of, you know, those, what are those things that you have there? What do you call them?
Bands.
Yeah, has a lot of these bands, different colors, and it says, I'm not a racist, I have all of them. You see that? I have that. And I'm just saying, no, John, try to be in the other shoes. Try to imagine, you're a very intelligent person, try to imagine being on the other side. What about for gender equality? Try to be on the other side. Equal number of women, you know, slightly over. There are more women than there are men in the world. But they're not in the boardrooms, they're not presidents, or anything. You know, try to go on the other side and see what it means. What does it mean to be a single man, to be in that situation? And if as a single man you've got 3 kids, but you still can participate in sport, what does that really mean? Can you step on the other side and find out? These skills are crucial. But they all seem to involve the other, and the relationship is very important. I like this evidence. It's quite old, but I like this evidence here. What it says is the power that we have as coaches. We are relationship driven, we are relationship oriented. Without relationship, we cannot deliver coaching. Without relationship, we cannot deliver coaching. Now, people abuse those relationships, but others utilize those relationships to build heroes and people that go on to make huge differences in the world. So, as a coach, you are in a position to actually build on the relationship that you have with your players. So you can utilize the relationship, or you can misuse it. But the evidence states that actually that helps. This is just a matter of, talking about things that are quite obvious, but I think people that have got a strong muscle or, a strong capacity of life skills, they're able to do some things better than others. They are able to do some things better than others. And I think what we need to do is to find out. We won't get it right straight away. No, we won't. We won't get it right, but I think we should get into the spaces where we start talking about these things. Because we are in Zambia. The reason we're talking about it in Zambia is because we've been hit terribly, terribly by problems that you can't even begin to fathom. So we are forced to get there. Here, you could have the luxury of just beginning to imagine, but even imagination does lead to good solutions. So people that are able to enhance a positive sense of self. I like number 4 there, enhance adaptability. You've got a little boy in your football team, they have to relocate to India. If that kid has got good IQ, India might be a difficult place. But if they've got good levels of adaptability, they will survive in India. They'll go to South America, they will survive in South America. So what you need to do is to see, and nobody should tell you, you're good enough to understand how a child coming into your sports program can enhance their adaptability. What we're talking about here, primarily, is about behavior change. Whether we like it or it doesn't feel good, but we are talking about behavior change. We're talking about the knowledge we give to these young people, whether it is within the sports-oriented discourse, whether we want them to do certain things to win, we're still talking about changing their behavior. Practice is about changing bad habits. You don't have to look at somebody when you're passing the ball. Explore your environment, know it's there, make the pass. But if you keep looking there, this is not a good habit. So let's do some repetitions drills so we can stop this habit. That's what it is. It's about, it's about changing particular habits. But it's about information, it's about attitudes, and it's about developing particular skills, even in real life situations. Even in real life situations. But changing behavior is difficult, but if we can, there's good evidence that we can impact society. We can contribute. They might not acknowledge us as coaches, but we can contribute to that. It's very difficult to pinpoint. Is it the school? Maybe it's easy. He's got a good life because he went to school. Is he got a good life because he came to coaching, sports coaching? Very difficult to measure that. But I believe strongly that we do contribute to that. And helping people actually adopt certain particular behaviors helps us to get them into better places. I like that one. Honestly, can't remember where I got it from. But I think bad habits, it's one of those nice places you get in those nice hotels where you get that offer. You go there, very difficult to weather. That's what bad habits are. How do we move, when these young people come to our coaching programs, how do we move them from that bed